Okay, could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McDonald?
Here.
Graham?
Here.
Candia?
Here.
Day?
Here.
Mayor Martinez?
Here. Item 5, declaration of conflict of interest. There being none. Item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. At this time, if anyone would like to speak to the council, they would go up to and state their name and address for the record, and then welcome.
I feel like I'm in a jury box. Good evening, council members, mayor, and staff, and police chief, Randy. I represent Stanislaus County Veterans Advisory Commission. In front of you, you should have a flyer. On February 27th, we're going to have our commission meeting here in Newman for the first time. It's going to be at the Yellow Middle School multi-purpose room, and within the Stanislaus County, we will have representative from the congressional office and our representative office, and we'll have the county that's involved with transportation for veterans called MOVE, and each commissioner will give an update of their committees. We have formed 4 committees. The first one's the facility committee, which we have purchased a building down in downtown Modesto on Coffee and Sullivan in the Stanislaus County Veterans Commission meeting, a building, which involves, it's a one-shop meeting for all veterans, and also Stanislaus County will move their stuff in there. Right now, we're limbo on, we had a March 31st as an opening date, but it's been a little bit delayed due to unforeseen circumstance. So at that time, hopefully I'll have a date for us. And not only that, we have education and job placement. One of the commissioners will give us what's going on within the colleges and job fairs and within colleges with the veterans. We also have the outreach committee, which I chair, and the outreach committee, which I go within Stanislaus County, do job fairs. We host many veterans activities. Last year, for the first time, we hosted the stand down, homeless stand down, and we had about 48 homeless veterans. And this year, we're going to do the same thing. It was located at the sheriff's track and field. They let us use the field, and we attracted 48 homeless veterans. And then we also attracted a family that was in need, veterans. This year I've been working with a lot of homeless veterans to include female veterans. And one of the things this year, we're going to look at female veterans and how to give them what they need, because they're coming out with this new regime. We're seeing for the first time that there's a lot of female veterans that need assistance. And if they're combat veterans, we work with the Vet Center on Carpenter Road. And I also work with the Salvation Army for homeless veterans and CICV which is the Community Impact Central Valley here in Modesto, where we try to house homeless veterans. Here in Newman, this year we had to pick. I believe there's maybe 1 or 2 homeless veterans. As veterans here in the population, I would estimate, by looking at my files, about 40 or 50 veterans. But they're still out there. We're trying to get the word out to come out, to know their benefits. The older veterans, especially the World War II veterans, the Korean veterans, they're still out there. They haven't heard about the benefits. Not only that, we're running with their spouses. They're coming and wondering what they're going to do with their husband, how to place their husband, what homes, what benefits do they have. So we're working with that. So, and like I said, I have the pleasure of inviting you, Mayor, and the staff to our meeting on the 27th of February at 5:30. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Okay, would anyone else like to talk to the council at this time?
She's hoping somebody might speak Spanish. I'm almost been trying, so she can talk also.
Not enough. Not enough.
Hello, my name is Deborah Hardin, and I live at 901 Fig Lane in Newman, which, as some of you probably know, is right next door to an abandoned property that lots of different vagrants like to hang out in and use as sort of a druggy house. And in addition, they apparently had a propane tank in the garage where they had unboarded the back of the garage. The city had boarded it at some point within the last 5 years. I've lived next door for 2 years. And when I first moved in, I was a little innocent about the whole thing. I had no idea that there were people coming and going. I just thought it was an old falling apart property. And the neighbors told me about the old man, Mr. Packard, whose grandfather, by the way, is one of the founders here in town, who was the blacksmith of Newman way back when. So it had been in that family for so long, and I just thought it was an abandoned property. But it is abandoned in one way, but not in another. So different druggy people come and go. They did catch the garage on fire, which was, like I said, their apartment with a propane tank, so it did blow up like a bomb. And I'm really here because I've talked to the police. The police have been very responsive, super nice, very helpful, professional. But from getting to know them over the last couple of years and talking to them numerous different times, they keep saying, you need to talk to the city. You need to talk to the city. There's only so much we can do. You can call us anytime. We'll respond. We'll come out. But, you know, they know all these people by name, and they're not all homeless, by the way. I see them getting in cars with neighbors and going places. I see people coming up the alley, dragging a mattress to go crash at the druggy place next door to me for the day. So, you know, it's a complicated situation, but I was able, through my own research, to find out who's in charge of that property. I went to the county, and I investigated who they had listed and found the person really behind it, who's an attorney up in Oregon, who was given the property, you know, to manage the trust for Neva Packard, who passed away in 2006, and she left it in a trust in the care of this attorney for her brother, Ralph Packard. And like I said, this property has been in the Packard family for over 100 years, but Ralph was never quite right mentally and got taken out in 2011, at which point this lawyer in Oregon apparently quit paying the property taxes and thereby abandoned the property in a sense. But Ralph's sister, who left the property, was married to a millionaire, had no children, and probably endowed this trust with enough money for her brother to live for many years. I don't know if there's any recourse for the city in that regard, but I have been in contact with the city and mentioned that I have the owner's contact, but no one seemed to really want it. Anyway, it's just a problem that Newman has. This isn't the only property that's been abandoned with druggy people coming and going. I think if it was truly homeless people who were either going to sleep under a bush or, you know, break into a garage and sleep there, it might be a different story. But that's not what I've observed for the last 2 years. So that's it. I'm just going to
Thank you very much.
leave this with the mayor. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Is anyone else would like to speak to the council at this time?
Buenas noches. Yo vengo nada más para pues yo no sé hablar inglés, pero vengo a, mis respetos para ustedes. Vengo a ver si me pueden ayudar ustedes para echar un cerco en el Alex, porque están pasando mucho a tirar muchas cosas como refris, lavadoras, todo eso me están echando a mí para allá. Y no quiero yo tener todo eso basural allí. Entonces, también otra de las cosas que está el Alex, está un hoyote ya muy hondo allí, está una laguna muy fea allí, y no puedo pasar a veces para acá. Tengo que rodear por acá, pero por acá también está la calle llena.
She's saying that there's a lot of stuff in the alleys, that it gets in the way where she can't access her driveway, like washers and things are being dumped in the alleys. That's,
Which alley?
¿dónde es el domicilio?
Es N915 N Street, aquí por el Alex es que está.
So it's N Street, tu casa es in the alley?
Sí.
She's alley access on her home. There's a couple of half units on N Street, so she's one of the alley homes.
Sí, y está muy lleno de agua y entonces por acá también me dijeron que tranca su trampa, ¿sabe cómo le dicen al de perso? Porque me hace un aguasal allí hasta mi puerta cuando llueve, no puedo ni salir tampoco porque se hace una laguna muy fea allí. Y el Alice también ahorita está muy lleno de agua, tiene un hoyo muy hondo allí. Entonces dije, no, pues tengo que ir a pedirles su ayuda a ustedes. ¿Qué más? Yo traje el mapa para que me quería poner un cerco en lo que era de la escuela, del cerco de la escuela acá al cerco de mi casa, para atravesarlo así. No le hace que les diera yo una llave para cuando quisieran entrar ustedes para allá, para al Alex.
She wants a fence put around her yard.
So people don't dump stuff.
And
Yeah.
Also, right now it's full of water where she can't get in and out access to her
Well,
house.
yeah, because I've been working with her on a permit that's unrelated, but, okay, I'm trying to, I don't know how to say, like, can I talk to you after the meeting?
Voy a hablar. Así.
¿Mande?
Voy a hablar. Ella quiere hablar.
Oh, está bien,
Yeah.
muy bien.
¿Tienes tiempo para, to stay?
Ella quiere hablar conmigo.
Sí,
Yeah, después de esta
sí, está
junta.
bien.
Okay,
Está
okay.
bien,
All
está
right.
bien. Ok, gracias, con permiso.
Thank you so much for coming forward. Is anyone else like to speak to the council? If not, thank you very much. We greatly appreciate you citizens coming forward and telling us your concerns, you know. I'm not saying that we can always address your concerns, but we'll certainly look at them. And with that, I'm going to move on to number 8, which is consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinance and resolution except by title. B, approval of warrants. C, approval of minutes of the January 24th, 2017 meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the consent calendar as is.
Second.
Motion been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Thank you. Number 9 is a public hearing. Adopt resolution number 2017, next number, a resolution authorizing the automatic annual inflation adjustment for capital facilities and impact fees for the period of March 1st, 2017 through February 28, 2018.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. As we know, every time a developer adds a house to our community, there's an impact that the city incurs. Back in 2002, the city conducted a study on capital facility fees and how much should be charged to developers per home they develop. A resolution was passed, which is 2002-22, which also included a method for adjusting these rates as we go forward year after year. We used the Engineering News Record Construction Cost Index for the San Francisco area. This last year, it increased 4.1%. The attached spreadsheet that you see there shows the current rate and the new rate increased by 4.1% for us to charge as we go forward. Staff recommends that we conduct a public hearing, take advice from anybody, and then vote on the resolution.
Any questions of the council?
None for me.
There being none, this is a public, I'm sorry?
Public hearing.
Yeah, I know.
Oh.
Sorry. That's okay. It's a public hearing, so I'll open it up to the public for any comments. There being none, I bring it back to the council for direction.
I move that we adopt resolution next number 2017, a resolution authorizing the automatic annual inflation adjustment for capital facility and impact fees for the period of March 1st, 2017 through February 28th, 2018.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. Number 10 is regular business. Adopt resolution number 2017, next number, a resolution adopting the mid-year changes for fiscal year 2016-2017.
Our budget's looking better. After reviewing it at mid-year, we originally started at negative 400,000, projected back in June. Now we're looking like we might end up with a positive 64,000. Part of this, if you look at Exhibit A, you can see that under our property taxes, we originally budgeted 654,000 coming in, and now we're projected somewhere around 769, which is a huge increase. This partly has to do with two factors. One is the increase in value of the homes, and the other is that as we're winding down our RDA, funds that are left over from having paid off our debts comes back through all the people that are involved with the RDA and back in our community as regular property taxes. This next coming year, we should actually do pretty well because we've just paid off $110,000 of RDA debt, which we won't have anymore. One was to the county and the other is to the Housing Authority. One of the other items to note that's doing very well is our license and permits are doing well, and also our motor vehicle tax is coming in substantially higher than we had budgeted. On Exhibit B, which is a list of our expenditures under the general fund, you can see that our costs are coming in about 43.9% under budget. Even though our revenues don't come in equal 1/12 amounts every month, our expenditures typically will tie because of payroll, which is an equal amount every month. So that's a pretty good indicator that we're coming in below our budget expenditures for our general fund. In Exhibit C is a short list of the adjustments to our revenues that we're looking at. The majority of those changes have to do with the way we're going to be accounting for two grants, two $500,000 grants, one for water and one for sewer. But for the most part, they're just minor increases in revenue. And the next exhibit, which is Exhibit D, we want to allocate $25,000 out of our general fund to the capital repair and replacement to do some work on the McBride building, try and get that up to rentable condition. We're also looking to expend $10,000 on a payroll compensation, or excuse me, $30,000 on a payroll compensation study, which was part of the MOU agreement that we passed 2 years ago. Third year coming up, we're supposed to conduct one. And then one of the other items is the $24,000 payment for the SCBAs, or the breathing apparatuses for our fire department, which we had neglected to put in our original budget, but was approved previously. Then under Exhibit E, this one shows our estimated fund balance after the year is over in the last column there. Our general fund is projecting to end at around $2.68 million, which is a 59% reserve, which is pretty healthy. Majority of the cities, in the last report that I looked at, tend around 25% reserves. So we're set up pretty well in case we have some major emergency come up. We can weather it pretty well. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions? Joe?
I have none. Outstanding job.
Yeah, great.
Looking good again.
Okay. With that, bring it back to the council for direction.
Move for adoption of Resolution 2017, next in number, a resolution adopting the mid-year change for fiscal year 2016, 2017.
Second the motion.
Motion has been made and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lou. Number 11, nah, not tonight. District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, not here. 12 is items from the city manager and staff.
Thank you, Mayor. At our next meeting, we're going to do a little presentation for you on the Don't Use Marijuana Act that was passed by the voters in November. It'll be a combination of our city attorney and myself giving you a presentation of what the new laws are governing marijuana in the state of California. And then also, there are going to be some options that you can choose and give us some direction, and then we'll craft an ordinance. If there's, because there may be some changes that are necessary based upon our current ordinances. So we'll take a look at that at our next meeting. On March 14th, we won't have a meeting, but you are going to be required to show up to do some state mandated training. So in lieu of a meeting, you will meet some training requirements, and our city attorney's firm will be coming and doing that presentation for you. I believe we were also going to invite some of the other sister cities in the county to see if they wanted to send somebody down as well to get the state mandated training that all of you have to do. There are a number of road closures that are going on right now. River Road is actually closed between Villamanucha and Hills Ferry. Crow's Landing Road is closed from River over the bridge to Carpenter. We did receive word that Kelly Road is closed between basically the bridge and I think all the way to about Williams, because it sounded like Mitchell's closed around Swanson. So number of road closures, and I think it sounded like, I didn't get a chance to talk to Mr. Perry today, but San Joaquin River is coming up. Right now it's in the mid 66-foot elevation, which does provide some challenges for us that are moving around on the roads. However, our wastewater treatment plant is at 70 feet. So at this point in time, we're not anticipating any risk to our facility. Over the years, when we've had projects that were concrete was excavated and taken away, we've crushed it up and placed it along the berm to add added protection at our wastewater treatment plant. So we're confident that that structure will sustain itself and not succumb to damage from the water that's coming down from the San Joaquin. And then lastly, today we have been interviewing, as you know, back in end of 2016, you authorized a new community service officer position. We have done all the interviews and met with 2 finalists, and we're ready, prepared to give a conditional offer to the first one. If the first one doesn't accept it, we'll go with the second one. I think that's going to address the 2 concerns that you heard tonight as well. They give us another 40 hours a week to start trying to address these things in terms of illegal dumping in alleyways and trespassing and some of these other things that are going on. So the new community service officer, our goal is to try to get them starting on March 1st. So hopefully by having that new person on board and getting them up to speed, they can address some of the concerns that you heard tonight and work with the PD on those. So I can answer any questions that you may have.
Michael, I have a couple of questions. I know we've talked about this in the past, when they release water at Friant, it really impacts the people in this community. And it's a financial loss to a lot of people. What I'm saying is, it's like, and I don't know if there's notification. There should be notification. So we do have some idea prior to them. It's not like it's raining and all of a sudden we get all this water. They know they're going to release, and they know actually how much they're going to release, and they know how much it's going to flood. So what I'm just saying, it seems to me that there ought to be some way that they get information to us.
We do receive notification. Most of it just pertains to our wastewater treatment plant. The roadways are not in city limits, and so it's hard for us to judge what the impact of those flows are going to do to the roadways. Those roadways are controlled by Stanislaus County and Merced counties. So it's hard for us to judge what those are going to be. I know those counties send out notices to us when they decide that they're going to close a road. I know Chief Bowen gets notifications on that as well. So
Okay, it seems to me that it's just like the trailer park there, was it Fisherman's Bend or whatever it's called? They rush to get those trailers out of there and put them along the side of the road. What I'm saying is, and to me, that's a hazard, because the Highway Patrol, they put a sign out there saying, you know, those trailers along the side of the road. What I'm saying is, they could have moved them to a safer area as far as I'm concerned, but anyway, I just think that notification would be nice. And the other thing that I wanted to comment about was, you talked about community service officer. You know, we, and I'm not saying this would fit into that program, it's up to the staff or whoever feels that we can do this, but what I'm saying is we have a lot of vacant homes. And it seems like we don't have accountability as far as these homes. And like, they're an attractive nuisance as far as I'm concerned, and I think that homeowners should be responsible. You know, they should have to be responsible for those homes. And we shouldn't have people breaking into them, living in them, and causing concerns for the whole city. It just seems to me that there's got to be a better way.
Right.
I think what you'll see with the increase in the new person and the increase in the number of hours that are going to be out there, I think you're going to see this new position it's really going to be focused on quality of life, neighborhood preservation type issues, and that's what you've been hearing from the public. That's what you heard tonight. That's what this person is going to be dedicated towards. So I think you're going to see a positive influence on it. It will take time. We do try to notify property owners as much as possible, but if they don't do anything, we come through this process. As you know, we have public hearings, we lien the property. The property on Fig Lane has been liened 3 different times. We have 3 different liens on that property where we've expended funds to do things to that property, and now we're just put a lien on there and hope that we get our money back at some point in time if the property ever sells. So that's a process that we have to go through to notify the property owners, and we'll continue to do that.
It just seems that we don't have a big enough bite. And what I'm saying is, it's like if you slap somebody's hands, they're just going to do it again. What I'm saying is there ought to be
now
some.
there's two different people we're talking about here. We're talking about offenders, the people that are doing the trespassing, right, and causing some of these problems, and then we're talking about absentee ownership. There's 2 different issues and 2 different sets of people that we're dealing with.
I know,
you
but
have to understand
the ownership.
The first group, the district attorney is not prosecuting these types of cases. So they fully know that even if we take them off or cite them and put them in jail, they're going to be right back out on the street.
No,
With
I don't.
respect to the property owners, we go through the process, we abate it. If they don't show up, yes, we spend the money. It just shows up on a lien on their property because we've done something to board it up or whatever we've done, and then we get our money later.
I just think, Michael, the problem goes away if the property owners are held accountable. I think that's the problem, that the property owners are not held accountable. And I don't know if there's any way that we legally can do that.
On the house on Fig, I'm not that familiar with it, but is it fire damaged at this point then? Is it a hazard?
I would defer that to our fire chief.
The garage is fire damage. It's completely to the
Considered a
ground.
hazard?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a hazard. Obviously, if you're trespassing, we've done everything we can to keep people out of there, other than standing there with a gun and telling them not to enter.
Because I work with Mr. Limber in Modesto from time to time, and he's in charge of houses that are a sore in the community, and where there's over trespassing. The homeless go in there and trespass over and over, and when they become damaged or become when they become a big enough problem in the community and the property owners aren't responding, they go in and take them down.
And we understand that, and there's that fine line between private property rights and public health and safety. If at any time the police chief felt that there was a public health and safety out there, that the structure could actually fall and fall on someone who was walking by, we have the right to go on and abate that property. Now, because somebody's trespassing on it and we don't like it, we can't go in and tear down somebody else's property. just because we don't want the people trespassing on it, because they
If it's-
obviously have
If
a
it's
right
been
to their
vacant for
property.
3, 4, 5 years and a continual problem, it is becoming a hazard, as in with the fire that just
But
happened.
if it's structurally sound, you can't go out and, I mean, there's a due process, right? You
there
can't go out
absolutely
and
due
take
process.
somebody's property, so.
But-
I'm gonna have to defer this. Maybe we can get our legal counsel to come back at another meeting and talk a little bit more about this.
As it relates to properties that are fire damaged and are structurally unsound, aside from the city's police power to go in and summarily abate them, there are process and procedures that we can go to the court and request an inspection and abatement warrant to ensure that the city is in violating due process rights. And then that involves notice to the property owner, a hearing before the court, and then getting authorization from the court to abate the nuisance, which in some cases means maybe tearing down the structure and razing the property entirely. So there are possibilities for alternative actions other than leaving the property as is.
And now, and now, right now, the house is saying half burnt. It's a nuisance. It's a visual.
Yeah,
eyesore.
there's a barn and there's a
And-
structure in the rear that has
Right.
some fire damage to it, but the house does not have fire damage to it.
Okay,
If
I
I'm not
understand.
mistaken, if I remember with this, I remember this property, and we already know that no one's lived in it for what?
For a long time.
Long time, so
Yeah.
maybe we should follow the course of.
Yeah,
legal
if
action.
it's so that we'll talk to our city attorney
Yeah,
after this and
I think we do
get
it.
her a little bit more
And-
involved in it, yeah.
I don't know if you can reach out to Mr. Limber. I mean, he's been doing it for 30 years. He's very sharp on it, and I mean, he'll know all of our options because he deals with multiple 10, 15, 20 houses a year that he ends up having to abate in some manner.
Most likely what that is referring to is a receivership, which is another process that the city can avail itself to request that a court authorize a third party to come in, take possession of the property because of the condition of the property itself, abate it, clean it up, fix it up, maybe sell it. There's a lot of different options, but I'll make sure to speak with the city manager to bring back options for the city council or staff at a later time.
Good.
That'd be great.
And just,
Thank you.
you know, when we do abate this property, you know, basically what happens is it just shifts it to another property. So, well, again, I think this is where we're gonna get with the community service officer, again, working with the police and fire department to help start identifying those properties.
I mean, in my opinion, the only way to curtail it is to just chase them. I mean, if they go to another property, we just do the same thing, and another one, and finally we get rid of them at all. I mean, that's the way I look at it. It's gonna take some time, but we can get rid of them eventually. Just an opinion.
Anyway, interesting subject.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Anybody else have any
Yeah,
questions?
I have a couple questions. One is the updates in reference to the overflow of the river onto, let's say, for instance, Crow's Landing or River Road. We're getting updates constantly, am I correct, in reference to?
No,
this?
I don't know if we get them constantly. I know our fire chief generally will sit on, whether it's a daily or a weekly call, and they'll update them on that. Chief, would you like to just?
Sure. We do receive regular updates. Currently, the closure on Crow's Landing is in anticipation of the river flowing over the next couple days. Currently, the river is touching the roadway there. It's just coming up to it. So currently, there's no water on the roadway, but it's anticipated within the next few days to actually cross the roadway. And then for river between Villa Minucha and Hills Ferry, we have probably over a foot at about Freitas, so it is completely closed. These closures come straight from county. That's all county property, county roads. So this is all handled through county. We did give some notifications that weren't heeded, probably about Thursday before the river came over to a lot of the low-laying parks there. And they didn't heed the warning, and we actually did provide some alternate locations for them. Santa Anila, we held some spots in Santa Anila, we held some spots in Patterson at the RV parks, and the response we received was that some of the structures weren't towable. They wouldn't make the trip. So we kind of got stuck in this place. And so Public Works from the county I was told, is who authorized the trailers to use the wide shoulder for a temporary parking. So, but yeah, we received some updates that we are anticipating the river is going to raise up to about, I think they were saying 1.5 feet over the next week or so.
Well, over the weekend, actually, I got a few phone calls. I wasn't able to really help the people because I didn't know where to turn to other than saying call either, the fire department or either City Hall. And this is the weekend. But it raised a question to me in speaking to one of the residents that if I could get a emergency list sheet when people call me, that I'll be able to direct them one way or another. The only thing that I was able to direct one lady who called me is to basically call, and I gave Chief Keith's name out to where they can call the fire department and ask for him, because there were people trapped. And this was, I guess they were talking about over here at the Catfish trailer site. And so the only thing I guess I'm asking for is if there is a list that is available, that I can get it, and I'll be able to, basically when people call me, I'll be able to direct them in a way that it would be effective for them.
And we have an operational emergency handbook that goes out there that does have phone calls. What we need to be careful on is, we don't respond to issues out of Catfish.
Right.
That's the county, so they need to be reaching out to county services on those particular ones. The same thing along River Road there. They're reaching out to the county-wide services there,
Right.
so.
And that's the reason why, if I can get a
Making
list,
sure
I
that,
would
yeah,
know.
making sure that we get the appropriate parties. I know some people automatically will call us because they think they have a Newman address at the very end, but then again, those are county services on there, so. We'll see what we can do to get you the handbook on there.
I should appreciate that.
Any other question? Well, we'll continue with staff, then we'll come back to you, Jim, if that's okay.
Just to touch quickly on the river conditions that you guys are asking about. Is there data out there? There is a website out there that anybody can go to. It's waterdata.usgs.gov. And it will give you real-time data of what the river levels are. You can go to the little dots and pick what river you want. If they're highlighted in green, it means they're flowing well. If they're red, it means they're in the danger stage. And it also gives you anticipated levels of what they're going to go to in the next few days. So anybody can go out there and receive that data, and you can watch the rivers rise like we've been doing, and we've been kind of posting that information.
Can you give that one more time?
It is waterdata.usgs.gov.
That also includes Oristimba Creek.
It does include Oristimba Creek, and you can set yourself up for alerts like I have for Oristimba Creek when it gets to a certain level. It will start sending me emails letting me know what the hourly and what the levels are.
Chief, also, would the highway patrol be a good source to find what roads are open?
I can't really say if they would be or not. A lot of these, we've been trying, it's convoluted because, especially the little triangle that we're in with Merced County and Stanislaus County and the city, we were calling Merced County yesterday afternoon to try to get information on Kelly Road, and they didn't have any information, so they sent somebody out there just to tell us that it was open or closed. So you have a lot of roadways that, all these counties are trying to work on, so we got a call back today that they did close Kelly Road this afternoon. I think it was actually about 12:30 that they shut it down right at Hatfield Park, so you can only go southbound River Road towards Stevenson. So I know it's difficult for all the counties right now with all the roads. I don't think CHP would be your best bet to know what roads are open or not.
I know that highway, that they usually give you the indication if there's an accident or
Right.
it's closure or something like that. Maybe
Those would be your major
these are major roads,
roadways. Yeah. These roads that we're talking about probably are not going to hit the radar.
You don't even know where they're located.
Mayor, Caltrans website will have the major highways, 165
Yeah.
and some of those. The county websites, I was able to go on Merced County Road Department's website, and it listed Kelly Road today as a closure. And I know our county has the same, Public Works Department, Roads Department will have the same. And I believe, Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, there is an ability to sign up for notifications on the county site?
Correct. The county has a program through Everbridge. It's called Stan Aware. So you can link it off our website, our city's website. Just go to the emergency preparedness section in the fire tab, and you can actually link down to Stan Aware. You'll create an account, enter your phone number, email address, and then what they'll do is when they send out those emergency blasts, you'll receive them on your phone. And we work directly with the county, so I was online with the county fire warden, OES, all weekend. So we were well aware of the incident, and like I said, we were making notifications. But a lot of people didn't want to heed them. I mean, these are their homes. This is what they're used to. So, other than physically prying them out of there, they were making a lot of attempts to try to redirect water by using small pumps, but instead of just heeding the warning and getting out when they had a chance. So we did our best with what we could. We didn't want to risk, our apparatus and injure our firefighters for things that weren't essential life, livable things. So if you need clothes, pets, family members, anything like that, we were able to help. But when it comes to towing out trailers and stuff, we're just really limited on doing that. So,
And the county does have a county-wide alert system where they can make phone calls, mass phone calls through an alert system, and due to geographical area and some of the other things. So there are plenty of things out there to alert people that if there's a situation that's going to be occurring.
Very informative. Thank you all.
Chief, did you have anything else?
I do not, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you.
Any questions for the chief? Definitely. Say something great.
Something great.
Like a skate park is going to be opening, grand opening.
So I know that the community is very excited to see that park open, as is the city. We are in the final punch list stage of the project. The contractor's finishing up just loose ends. They were there painting today, in fact. The two items that are probably the most important are these lights need to be adjusted. There's we have to adjust the sensors on them, and that grass needs some time to establish. With all this weather, if we take that fence down too early, that grass will never establish properly. Our Public Works Department has advised me, try to, give it some time, as much time as you can. Maybe we can try to get a couple warm, dry days to help it. With the time of year, it's not really likely. But we're just going to try to let that grass get a little more established before we let everybody walk all over it. But we're moving as fast as we can to get everything closed out. The contractor wants to get the retention, so everyone's working together to get that finished up. The dog park, the forms are in. We just can't pour concrete with all this moisture. The ground is too saturated, so we just have to wait to where we have a couple of days where it's not raining, and then we can do the pour for that concrete. And once that's done, it's essentially done. All that's left really is some, finishing details, and the dog park will be open. But we don't have opening dates for either project at this time. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions?
I have one question. Once the skate park is ready and complete, will there be a fence around the skate park?
No, it'll be part
It'll
of
be wide
Lions
open?
Park. Yeah, so it'll be part of that whole parcel is one big park. So where the teen center is, where Lions Park is, where the skate park, where the memorial building, that's all one parcel. So it'll be open, so that way it's accessible on all sides.
That's-
Thank you. Lou?
I don't have anything additional tonight.
Councilman?
Yeah, good evening, City Mayor and Council members. Just two items. The first one is regarding the sandbag, because some residents still keep calling to Public Works Department because they're concerning the flooding, because we are expecting some more rain next couple of weeks. So we set up the two locations, Corporation Yard as well as Water Yard. So we purchased some more sand so that we can distribute more sandbags to our resident anytime, 24/7, technically. And Christmas tree was planted last week, so it's very straight. So Arborist, based on the Arborist recommendation, we set up the very good watering schedule, all kind of stuff. So I know it is very important for this community. We will keep an eye on it. So there is a big progress. That's all I have at this point.
Any questions? Kasu? No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fire Chief, Keith?
Well, first I'll apologize for my tardiness. We had a motor vehicle
That's okay.
collision down the road, so I think I held everyone up, so sorry about that. But everyone was okay. They made it on their way. So first of all, I want to let everyone know Saturday, February 18th, we will be holding another community CPR class. We do have some room. We had somebody that couldn't make it, so we had 2 cancellations. So we still have a little bit of room left if anyone's interested. Also had the ability to meet our 2 new, well, we have 3 fire explorers, but had our first meeting with them, so they showed up to the station, so they're real eager and look forward to seeing them out in the community. Other than that, I just want to remind everyone, I know that we got the road closures, try to stay patient, drive slow. We're seeing an increase in accidents lately, so you'll get there. Just take your time. I can answer any questions you might have.
And we're going to go back to item number 11. Items from District 5, Stanislaus County Supervisor, Mr. Jim D. Martin.
Good evening, Mayor Martella, members of the council. I'm sorry I'm just late here. I got caught up in whatever it was that happened on 33, but traffic was stopped both directions for about 20 minutes. The county's been dealing with road closures and flood issues for about the last week. Currently, we only have 2 east-west roads through the county right now. Everything else has been shut down. Grayson Road was the last one to be closed. So if you're going east to west across the county, you have Mays Road and West Main, and those are the only ones that are currently open. And that's going to be probably that way for at least another week. As you know, Crow's Landing Road's closed, Grayson River Road, plus, Easton Road is closed, Bell Road. There's several of them around closer to the rivers that have been barricaded off. Our biggest concern for us in Stanislaus County is the Don Pedro Dam and the Tuolumne River. Currently, the Don Pedro Dam is at 98% of capacity. So it is right up to the top. The river is at flood stage at 10,000 feet. I was heard this evening that it's going to be increased to 11,000 second feet tomorrow. That's above flood stage, and that's flooding. Actually, the water's getting pretty close to Grayson now. One more rain, I think, may be the tipping point for us before they have to open the floodgates. What happened in '97? The dam is dangerously high right now. 98% at this time of the year, with the snowpack at close to 200% of normal, I talked to TID today, and they said that there's about 2 million acre-feet up in the snowpack right now. The Don Pedro Dam holds 2.1 million, and it is full. So any more rain, I think, is really going to be a real problem for us. The staff is on it. I mean, we've had the Office of Emergency Services out constantly, and then the Sheriff's Department, Public Works. So, if you have a problem, call us. But I think as far as opening any of the roads that are closed, it's not going to happen for the next week at least. Okay, anyway, about 2 weeks ago, I went to the meeting on the Hills Ferry Bridge. That one is a project that'll start this year, reinforcing that bridge. I thought that bridge was going to be widened, but I was mistaken. It's not. It's a reinforcement. So they explained the project, and the funding is there, and it'll start. Probably won't finish this year, because there's certain times you can't work in the area because of the salmon. So they'll start and stop and start up again as they're allowed. And let's see, the Veterans Commission will be meeting here in Newman on February 27th at the Yolo Middle School, and that meeting will start at 5:30. County staff will be there as the Veterans Commission rotates around to every city, so it's Newman this month. So I intend to be there. And the Healthcare Task Force, next meeting is March 16th in Gustine at City Hall. The task force, has been working on some fundraising. The Health Summit, unless we hear from the city of Newman, that it will be moved up this year to June 22nd at 5 o'clock, rather than in August, just before the Fall Festival. If that's a problem, we have a backup date at the 15th, or whatever it takes to work out any issues you might have. And that's about all I have. I tell you, it's been a busy week. I was here one time. Thoristemba Creek was starting to go over the banks. We've had flooding in Patterson with Solano Creek. The water got out in the neighborhood, and then Grayson and 3 trailer parks have been evacuated. I really think that the worst is yet to come. The indications are that the San Joaquin River is still going to rise higher. And as the Tuolumne River increases its flow, it's just going to create more backup. We'll get through it the best we can, but we're aware of the situation, and we'll provide assistance for evacuation or temporary housing or whatever it takes. But we're monitoring that constantly. Okay, that's all I have this evening. Sorry I'm late. So I don't know who was at fault on 33, but whatever it was bad.
You had good company being late.
It was the chief, he had a roadblock. I was just making it better, that's all I was doing.
Thank you so much, Jim.
It was slow getting over here too, because the West Main normally, is fairly light traffic, but because all the other roads are closed, I bet there's 3 times the traffic on West Main. And I thought, well, I finally got through Crow's Landing, it'll be easy now. And then we get stopped at Sturb Road for 20 minutes. Anyway, I'm glad I made it, though.
Good.
I know you can't be late for these meetings. You guys don't waste your time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Okay, thanks, everyone, for coming tonight. So I'm going to ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion been made and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.